Hello friends and welcome to my first Alliance War video. I am your host, Simula67. Today Season 5 started. My Alliance Elite Marvel project is taking on mK.Os, the Marvel KO squad. Let's get right into it. So I'm taking Path 7 this season. My main squad is my Void at 565 and my Blade also at 565. Typically bring along my third champ just for synergies. This time it's Ghost Rider, because I saw that we have a Kingpin on the mini-boss node. So we'll get right into it. These are just a couple of the diversity nodes to start. Iceman, regenning most of the cold snap at the start with willpower, and he's really no problem at all, and he's down real easy. On the next node, there is a 6-star Storm, and again, just kind of a diversity node with Limber, but not really a problem. Also has Recovery and Optimus, but not really worried about those at all. Storm is one of those champs where she's very easy to fight, but if you happen to get tagged by either of her specials, you're in for a bad time, because it does a ton of damage. Fortunately, Void does a ton of damage too. A little bit about me, since this is my first video with my angelic voice. I've been playing this for about 2 years, maybe a little bit more. Been in only a few alliances. I've been in this alliance now for the last season, maybe 2 seasons. Great group. Really enjoy my time here. Alright, next fight is a Gwenpool. So again, this season, all the champs are immune to bleed, and female champs have the increased attack. So you see I'm going in with Blade to avoid the disadvantage with Void. This node also has increased physical resistance, so you can see I'm not really hitting as hard as I'd like to with Blade, but fortunately Gwenpool is a really easy fight. So it's just a matter of sticking with it until she goes down. So I talked a minute ago about my third champ being for synergies. So today it's Ghost Rider. Oftentimes I will bring a Killmonger to give Void a little bit more sustainability on paths where I'll be using him more. If there's an obvious villain on the path, I'll usually just bring Ghost Rider. Especially this season with the lack of bleed, Blade is a little bit less effective. So I really need that danger sense on obvious villain fights for the added damage. Didn't really want to throw her special here. There we go. Now, so she was down at 1%, of course, because Gwenpool can't die from special attacks, and I could have just parried and taken her out. I'm not really sure why I wasn't. Might as well have just skipped the block damage and bait out the last special and take her out. Alright, so now we're kind of getting into the meat and potatoes of this run, as it were. So first up would be the 6-star Kingpin on the mini-boss node. So this node has Mystic Ward and Recovery and Buffet. Normally, for this node, I would take Void, but with Kingpin, he's just going to eat all of the intimidating presence buffs that Void gives, so go in with Blade and the Danger Sense. Now, I do boost up here because I have a lot of the boosts in Overflow, and I wasn't really sure how beefy this guy would be without the Blade, or without the bleed damage. So I put on a champion boost and an attack boost. And as it turns out, I really didn't need to do that. As Blade kind of hits hard enough as it is. And also, this is probably the most cooperative Kingpin I've ever fought. I don't think he converts a single one of my parry stuns into rage, which is great. because that's really annoying when that happens. Actually, that might be part of his SIG. I can't remember. Either way, he's also being very cooperative with his special attacks. Another problem I sometimes run into with Kingpin. Don't want to push him to his S2 is that it's a little more difficult to evade. So you can see Blaze just plowing right through him, as he does with mostly everybody. Not worried about the buffet regen. This blade will just out-damage it anyway. And he's down. Easy peasy. So I wasn't sure about the next node. I was almost certain that the Arc Overload node was going to be an Infinity War Iron Man, but I wasn't sure about this one. I was thinking going in maybe an Ultron, as I've seen him on this node. It's more or less a diversity node. Even in my tier, I'll still see a lot of just random champs on this node. So I was kind of expecting an Ultron. Didn't really know for sure. But it turns out that they wanted to double up on the Infinity War Iron Man. Very used to fighting him. On my path, I fight an Infinity War Iron Man pretty much every war, at least once. I do get tagged here, I think, on this next combo. I was getting too cute with the heavy attack intercepts. I really didn't need to do that. I was probably too busy watching the passive armor effects that he has, so I don't want to get parried. Void is really good at fighting this guy. So it's really just a matter of surviving long enough for the degen to kill him. And especially when he's unduped, you don't have to worry at the end about that infinite power gain and the auto block on one passive armor. So you can see his health is just ticking down, and there he goes. Alright, so the next node is also an Infinity War Iron Man. This is the Recovery Arc Overload node. Void just destroys this node. That's why I take this path every season. So once you get the 2 Petrify debuffs up, he just melts. I couldn't remember on this node and the previous one if the armor buffs from the node itself contribute to his auto block. I didn't think that they did, but I wasn't sure, so I was really trying to pay attention to make sure that his passive ones stay at 3 or below, and that I don't hit into him then. So I stopped hitting again when he hits 15% because he gets that auto block at 1 passive, and I just let the degen take care of the rest. And down he goes. So on my path, I am responsible for taking out the Recovery Strike Back mini-boss. On this war, it is a Mephisto, which is no problem with Void. Has that Incinerate immunity. Sometimes I'll forget and launch a SP1 on this mini-boss node, forgetting about the Strike Back, but I think this war I remembered it. My boost had expired already, so I wasn't going to reapply. Wasn't worried about this fight at all. Mephisto's a pretty easy fight. You just want to watch the power gain on his Aura of Incineration. I typically like to just bait the SP1, again, just to stop that power gain, at least until I get the 2 Petrifies up, and then I'm not really worried about it at all. I do fire my SP1 there, just because I thought his power was low enough it wouldn't matter, and he got to the 2, but at that point I already have a single Petrify up, and I think the second one is on this next special here. Just trying to bait the first next special. There we go. Yep. So there's the other Petrify, and his regen triggers right there. Doesn't regain any health, which is great. Firing off another one, and the degen pretty much just melts him. And boom goes the dynamite. All right. Didn't get any boss action this war. I usually don't. We have a guy who usually solos Medusa bosses, so. All right, that's pretty much it for my path. So it was a close war. We did not come out the victor this time, so not an ideal start for Season 5, but, you know, what are you going to do? So shout out to mK.Os. Good war to you guys, and I'll see you next time.